Great. Well, yes, thank you so much for coming. I know it's really hot out and it's hard to get motivated to do anything when it's this hot. But thank you again for coming. I hope you enjoyed your dinner. My name is Juliet and I am a volunteer for Nurture. Have you guys heard of Nurture before? No. Great. So what Nurture is a nonprofit organization, and our mission is similar to a proverb of give a person a fish, feed them for a meal, teach a person to fish, and feed them for a lifetime. And basically, we just make cooking classes really fun. They're more cooking demonstrations, and all of our meals are less than $1.50 per serving. So you can go to our website and learn how to make lots of different foods, and everything is $1.50 or less per serving. So if you guys want to go ahead and take a look at your packet. So one of the reasons that I'm really interested in food is I'm interested in health. As you may know, our country has a huge problem with healthcare spending, and a lot of people are suffering from diseases that can be prevented through good nutrition. It's estimated that if a child is born after the year 2000, 1 in 3 have a chance of getting diabetes. So as families, as parents, and as community members, I think it's really important that we look around the food that we eat and the food that we serve our family and friends, and kind of start thinking about how we can provide healthy food, but healthy food that tastes good. Because if food doesn't taste good, no one's going to eat it, right? We're not just going to sit and munch on bran and, I don't know, diet food, right? So today my goal is to show you how to use the slow cooker, and also to show you just some tips on how your kids or your families or grandkids can just be a little bit healthier. And they don't have to be major radical changes. It's just small little things that you can do that are economical and also kind of fun with your family so that we can start living a healthier life. Or if you already live a healthier life, then maybe you can come back and share it with me. So this first page just gives you some information. There are 4 tips that we offer in our cooking classes, and just these are simple things that you can do to be a little bit healthier. And the first thing is choosing whole grains. Some of you may have noticed that our rice tonight was brown rice, but did anybody not know the difference? That we served brown rice tonight? No? So choosing whole grains, the reason whole grains are important is because they have more fiber. And fiber has lots of important health properties. One being that it can help reduce your cholesterol levels, so you're at less risk for having heart disease. The other thing it does is it actually promotes satiety. Have you ever sat down and ate an entire bowl of pasta and you could just keep shoveling it in? Right? It's because it doesn't have fiber in it, and so it's not very filling. But if we start choosing grains that have more substance to them, they tend to be a little bit more earthier tasting or toastier tasting. You typically have fiber in them, and fiber is going to help you stay full, and then you don't necessarily need to eat an entire bowl of pasta. Maybe just half a bowl of pasta will make you feel satisfied. The other thing that fiber does is it helps regulate your glucose levels. So when you eat, obviously you release insulin, and when our insulin levels go really, really high, and they're high for a long time, we become at risk for becoming diabetic. So fiber helps reduce those insulin levels, and it's also another way just to make sure that we stay full throughout the day. For women, you need about 25 grams of fiber per day, and for men, you need 38 grams. And I know a lot of us don't go around trying to read nutrition labels, right? The best way to get fiber into our diet is by eating more fruits and vegetables. Just an example, if you were to wake up in the morning and have just an apple with peanut butter, you're having 4 to 5 grams of fiber right off the bat. Or a simple swap, if you had white rice tonight instead of brown rice, the white rice for that little half cup of rice would only been 1 gram, but by choosing the brown rice, you're getting almost 3 grams of fiber. And the last little tip is eating more fruits and vegetables. How many of you have kids who say they won't touch a fruit or vegetable? 1? The rest of you are kids too? Okay. Or even maybe adults too. I know adults who have a hard time getting in more fruits and vegetables. So our dinner tonight, the veggie burrito, the veggie bowl, had 3 servings of vegetables in it, in just that one bowl. So that's really great. And then also, we're going to enjoy a snack, fruit salsa, where you can get a serving of fruit in. And then we're going to end our class today with a peach blueberry cobbler, which is absolutely delicious and healthy. Okay. Are there any questions? Great. So first, before we move on to the next page, I just want to kind of introduce you to the slow cooker. This is a slow cooker. And the most important thing about it is when you're cooking, you want, before you plug it in, you're going to put all of your food inside of it and then plug it in. Don't plug in your slow cooker and then add like liquid or anything to it, because that would be dangerous. The other thing I just want to point out are the settings. There are 4 settings. There's low, there's high, there's warm, and then there's off. And that you can find just here by turning the knob, so it's pretty easy. High settings, typically, to give you an example, if you were to roast a chicken in here, you would roast it on high probably like 3 to 4 hours. But if you put it on low, it would take about 7 to 8 hours. To give you an idea of the recipe we made tonight, it didn't have any meat in it. So it only took about 3 hours on the low setting. If I didn't have that much time, 90 minutes on the high setting. And let's say you decide to make this mid-afternoon and then you have to go run some errands. You can cook it and then you can just turn it to the warm setting. And by the time you get home, it'll stay warm for 4 hours. So that's a nice feature, especially if you're really busy. Or you can use the low setting if you work during the day. In the morning, you can fill your crock pot or slow cooker up and turn it on the low setting. And then when you come home, turn it to warm. And then when it's time for dinner, your dinner is ready for you. A couple other features about your slow cooker. It has these neat little hooks. And what this does is it just snaps on like that. On the sides, it's missing. This is great for traveling. So if you decide to go to a neighbor's house for a potluck, or if you're going to someone's house and driving in the car, you no longer have to put hot bowl on your lap while you drive. This will just lock in, and you can put it, on the seat of your car or the floor base of your car. Are there any questions about the slow cooker? For those of you who do have kids, just remind them that when it's on to kind of be cautious, because the outside of it will get hot. As a reminder, I always leave pot holders kind of near it when I'm using it, so that way if someone's around it, they'll know that they'll have to use it when they touch the handles. These top handles don't get hot, but the base of it definitely will. Okay? And then just one other reminder, if you have an outlet that's really close to the wall, make sure that you pull, like if this were the cabinet, make sure that you pull it away so that the cabinet's not resting, because some steam will come up occasionally. So you're going to want to pull it away from the cabinet a little bit. Okay? Great. Stop me if I talk too fast, all right? So if you turn over your packet, one thing that I find really interesting about Nurture is we've developed this really cool framework. How many of you are recipe followers? 2, 3 of you? 4 of you? How many of you just kind of, it's a suggestion, that's how I am. My sister's a recipe follower. It drives her crazy when I go into the kitchen and I just don't measure anything. What are you doing? So this is kind of a happy medium, because I think it's nice to have some structure in the kitchen, especially if you're not used to cooking. But if you are a recipe person, we definitely have recipes with specific quantities that you can follow. So what the framework is, it's a way of thinking about planning your meals. It's not just opening up the fridge or the cupboard and just kind of like grabbing and going. It's kind of a systematic way. And if you can kind of train your brain to think this way when you go to the grocery store, when you go to the farmer's market, it's really going to help you have a more well-balanced diet and really make sure that every meal you're getting the nutrients that you and your family need to stay healthy and for your kids to grow strong. So when you are thinking about your slow cooker and planning your meal, think of this framework, and it has 4 easy parts to it. The first part is to choose a protein, or for a lot of people that's meat, but it doesn't have to be. Tonight, our protein wasn't a meat source, it was beans. So once you have that idea in your head, so proteins that could cook well in the slow cooker could be a roast, it could be lamb, it could be chicken, it can be any type of bean. You can cook lentils in here. So there's lots and lots of options. So in your framework, think protein. And then after you've chosen your protein, the next thing you want to think about is including vegetables. Tonight our vegetables were, we had a zucchini, we had squash, and we had red pepper, okay? But you can choose any vegetables you want. If you like broccoli cooks really well. You can just throw whole mushrooms in here, and they roast really nice, and they get really nice and tender. Cauliflower does really well in the slow cooker. The only thing you need to remember is trying to cut things in even sizes, because then they'll cook evenly. Or sometimes it's not a bad thing to have a little variety in texture, right? You can cut some things into small pieces and leave others larger. So once you've chosen your vegetable, you're going to think about seasoning. And And one thing that drives me crazy about all the new food pyramids or the food plates that you see is they never include seasoning as part of an essential part of your meal. And to me, if food doesn't taste good, I'm not going to eat it, and I'm health conscious, so if it doesn't taste good, why would anyone else want to eat it? So for seasonings, think outside the box. It doesn't just have to be powdered seasonings that you have in your cupboard that you never touch. It can be things like salsa. And we had a jar of salsa tonight, and it was really tasty, and it provided a little bit of cumin, some chili, and it just had a really nice flavor to it. You can also use fresh herbs. The farmer's market has a great selection right now of cilantro and parsley. You can throw that over some chicken. Basil. Oh, basil is one of my favorites. So you can use fresh herbs right now too, and that'll give your meat or your beans a really great flavor. And then finally, liquid. Water and broth are fantastic. You can also, you don't need a lot of liquid. Sometimes I only have 1 or 2, 3 tablespoons of good, olive oil at the bottom if I'm just cooking some meat, and that will help your meat cook. The liquid we had tonight was the salsa. You can also use canned tomatoes.